I want to talk about the survey that you guys did for your group teamwork survey, and I was very interested in the results. And I think that seeing these results, you might get a better idea of what was the whole purpose of the survey. Was it to learn about a movie? Not actually, but it was to learn how you can take the things that you're learning in this class, in this macro class in human behavior, social environment, and apply it to real life situations, or anything that you're doing in life. The movie, there were a lot of real life scenarios in the movie, and how you can see how some of our theories, the power, influence, oppression, the different social problems that were presented in your movies, how you can apply what you've learned to that and recognize those. I know some of you commented that you didn't think you'd be able to look at a movie the same way before, again, without thinking about what you've learned. And that's the whole point of the project. Another huge aspect of the project was not that you had to, well, it actually was, you had to work with people, which you're going to have to work with people no matter what you do in whatever agencies, whatever jobs. And sometimes you don't have a readily available solution. So some of your comments were that you wanted more structure, which I do believe it's my lessons learned. I will change that for the future. But sometimes there isn't a readily accessible problem. Sometimes you have to scramble for a solution. Sometimes you have to be creative in coming up with a solution to a problem. So all of those group dynamics were part of the group project itself. So how you work those out was a learning lesson for you as well as the project itself. So I'm sure that you learned a lot, and the survey that I had you do showed me that you did learn a lot about group dynamics, that you did learn a lot about working with people and what it takes to make a group project successful. So I wanted to share with you the results of the group project, and I did put your comments in here, but no names are involved, so nobody knows who made what comment. But what you'll find really interesting is the themes that emerged from your comments. So I think at the end of this, maybe you will see what was the whole purpose in the group project, so you can look at it a little differently to see what I was looking for. So first of all, it said that the first question was, do you really like group work? Which I was sort of surprised at that, because 12 said they agreed with that, and 12 disagreed, which means they don't mind group work. So that's usually a really strong percentage toward dislike, but I thought that was really interesting. The next thing that we talked about in the survey, hold on just a minute because it just left the screen, was what was the most difficult thing about completing a group project? And what I did was I put all of your comments in here, and then I pulled out the words in red that are the theme. And if you'll read, you can read all of the quotes, but if you just read the words in red, you will see things that, yes, they were about your project, but just think about how many more things you could apply that to in the macro social environment. For instance, some of these have to keep in mind that it's my team members' project as well. Navigating differences between personalities and work styles. That in itself is directly related to the things that we've learned about. Communication. How important is that in social work? Making sure everyone stays on top of their projects. Making sure everyone's on the page. Means of communication, problematic and impersonal. Coordinating schedules is huge. And that is huge no matter what you do. I know in the Kit School of Social Work, when we try to have a meeting with our social services and our academic affairs people, it is extremely difficult to get everybody together at the same time. And we are forever coordinating. We've been trying to do a dean's forum. We can't get all the deans there at the same time. Coordinating schedules is very difficult. One of the comments in here that I thought was really good was neglecting to hear the voice of others. That's something I want you to be really, really cautious of. Sometimes we do it, I do it, sometimes we want to talk too much and not listen enough. So make sure that you are listening to others. and not closing your ears to that. Getting everyone together again, depending on one another. That's important. Pooling resources, dealing with people. Adapt to whatever you're doing, different personalities, emerging leaders. So, again, this was what you found very difficult about the project. And these are all very similar to difficulties that I would expect you to say. This is what all group projects, this is everything that you would see in any group project, no matter where you were. But now this is what's really interesting. The next question was, during the movie group project you learned. So some of the same things came over into this, but it's in a different way. Yes, it was difficult, but yes, you learned it. And that is the gist of the whole project. Yes, I know that some of those things are difficult. Yes, I knew when I assigned the project that communication would be difficult, that scheduling would be difficult. But it is a learning process. So you learned through the project how to make that happen. And no, every situation was not ideal. No, you do not always have the same amount of participation from every member. But that is no different than any group project or any work project or anything that you'll do in life. So adapting, flexibility is something that we all have to learn. So again, during the movie group project, I learned, and again, I put these in red, and I'm going to give you a copy of these results. Even though we're all different, we're all the same. And that is very true. And this one says, I learned how to better navigate personality differences. Notice in the first question, what was the most difficult? Navigating personality differences. In this one, what did you learn? How to navigate personality differences. How to apply theory to everyday circumstances. How to use critical thinking. How to respond in a timely manner. How to effectively communicate. So again, in the first question it was, what is difficult? In this question it was, I learned how to effectively communicate. How to use technology. How to apply ideas and theories. Let's see, what are some of the other ones? That despite differences in opinions or backgrounds, it's possible for people to work together to complete a final goal. That sentence in itself, take that sentence and just think about some of the things we've talked about in our book. Think about community building. Is that not what community building is? So from your group project, you learned it's possible to work together to complete a final goal. So when you're in this field, it's as a social work, and you're working with communities and agencies, that's exactly what you're trying to do. So that's what this group project, that was one of the opportunities in this project, was to learn how to make that happen. That working as a group virtually is very challenging. Absolutely it is. But it is more and more frequent in today's business world. There are less and less face-to-face meetings. There are more and more virtual meetings. Most of my meetings these days are not face-to-face. There are so many more virtual opportunities out there. There's no funding. It's short. People don't travel. There isn't money for mileage. So, and why would we? If we have all this technology, why would businesses, why would agencies spend money to go to face-to-face meetings? So virtual meeting is, yes, it is challenging. It is something we all have to learn, but it is a reality, and that is something you all had to learn with this project. We were able to cross borders and be successful. That was the goal. Sometimes you need to take on others' roles to get things done. That is not a reality we like, but it is a reality itself. Yes, sometimes we do have to take on others' roles to get things done. That's one of the lessons learned that we don't like as much, but it is what it is. How theory seems to be connected to everything. This one was one, critical thinking opens your heart and mind to bigger issues in the world. And yes, it does. Throughout this course, I ask you a lot of open-ended questions. And mainly what I'm trying to see is think beyond the question. Take it to the next level. How is what you're learning right there related to what you're learning in the real world? Current events. How can you apply what you're learning to that? And to think deeper. Critical thinking is about thinking just a little bit deeper, just not on the surface. I'm not going to read all of these for the interest of time. This one was good. How to put the best interest of the group first, and taking a back seat and adjusting. Those are important. Time management was vital. That was a lesson learned. That is very, very true. I was pleased to see that most of you felt that your team meetings were efficient and effective. And I think you'll find, I know most of you are already working anyway, so you're already in virtual meetings. People tend to, it's a lot easier to get through a virtual meeting quicker because people don't want to be there as long. You have a lot less attention span when you're in a virtual meeting. Face-to-face meetings, there's a lot of sidetrack conversations, private conversations here, there, and it tends to go on and on and on. You don't have that as much in a virtual meeting. So that was good. Another question, what communication structural problems were encountered and what changes? I love the changes that you would suggest. This was the first time that I have used this assignment, so I expected there to be Millie's lessons learned, and there were. So I appreciate all your feedback, and I will, when I use this assignment again, I'm going to apply your suggestions, and I will add those. I somewhat left the project vague and didn't give you a lot of structure, and I did that on purpose because I wanted you all to work those problems through yourself and to figure out solutions. But maybe in doing that, I might have made it too vague. A lot of you talked about wanting a little bit more structure. So when I assign this project again in the fall, I'm going to set up a little bit more structured parameters for students. So that should make it a little bit better. But I appreciate all of the feedback. And one of the other comments was it would be easier if it gave you a weekend before the due date. And I agree with that. I think maybe I should have set that up differently. And also, now that we've done it, I think I'll be able to set it up clearer in the syllabus going forward. So I really appreciate your comments. And that was my lessons learned. And I actually agree with every comment you all made. So thank you very much. About team participation. During the project, I learned this about team participation. Again, it's in red. These are the key words. Communication is vital. Strengths and weaknesses is important to build on strengths when you're doing a group project. Everyone has strengths. So you might not have a strength in one area, but your strength could be in another area. And that's what you need. When you're in a group project, you need to build on your strengths because someone else, an area you're weak in, someone else might be strong in that. So find out what are the strengths of the group when you're working on something. Equal effort to make projects completed efficiently and on time. Another important thing was let others talk and listen more. Sometimes hard for us to do. It's hard for me to do sometimes. Clear communication is necessary. And again, it talked about individual strengths. Carrying your own weight. You can't do this alone. This was really important. One of you said had to trust. Absolutely. When you're in a group project, trust is very important. And it's sometimes hard to do that because you're counting on somebody else to do their part and it is, you're dependent upon them. So trust is really important. Be very open-minded, express ideas and thought, and include feedback. Effective listening, brainstorming, and valuing each other's input. That's very important, valuing each other's input. Collaboration is key. One person said that what they learned about team participation is that it's important. Absolutely. It's important that you know how to do it. It's important that you know how to function effectively in a team. It's important that You pull your weight in the team. This was interesting. Having to be willing to change positions frequently and be flexible and adapt to change. Absolutely critical in group projects. Understanding, and one of the last comments was, some people are natural leaders, some are not. It takes a leader to be able to step up and delegate. And that's very true in some ways. I disagree and I agree. Yes, you will find, if you're in a group, that someone or more than one person may emerge as the leader of the group. Sometimes it could be just because they talk more. Sometimes it could be just because they have the strength to pull that together. It depends on how that works. But don't discount the person that's in the group that's not talking. Because some people have some really, really great ideas that may not be as comfortable talking about them out loud. You will see different people emerge in meetings in group projects. Some are natural leaders, and natural leaders do tend to rise to the top. And it does take someone some time to delegate things, because if that doesn't happen, then it's just like the project that I set up for you guys, and you said maybe you didn't have enough structure in the group project. So I wasn't really delegating. I didn't give you enough delegation. So delegation sometimes is important, and it doesn't have to be you do this or you do this. It has to be, again, what strengths does each individual have that they're bringing to the table? So I wouldn't call it delegation. I would call it effective group management is utilizing the person's strengths for the best benefit of the whole group. Okay, I will post this feedback survey for you all, but I do really think it's important that you read this and understand what was the whole gist of the project. It wasn't that I wanted you to just watch a movie and have some busy work. I wanted you to see how you first apply everything that we've learned, how you learn to work within a group setting, because we're talking about social work in the macro environment. We're talking about being a social worker and working with the communities, working with other agencies, working globally, internationally, working across state lines, having to navigate a lot of different personalities in the macro environment. So that was the purpose of the group project, in as much as the content of the project. Again, I appreciate all your feedback, and you did a great job on providing comments that really, really enabled me to create a common theme throughout the project. So that's all I have for today, and you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.